I procrastinated filming this video. You might be procrastinating right now while watching this video. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about 5 of the reasons why you might be procrastinating and what you can do to overcome them. The first reason for your procrastination is your mindset about productivity, your relationship with work, and having fun or relaxing. The real problem with procrastination is not that you're postponing doing your work, it's that you're feeling guilty and shameful and having all this negative self-talk with yourself for wasting time. We have this idea that productivity is about getting more things done, working more than playing, when really productivity is about getting the right things done to move you forward towards your goals in the time frame that you want to achieve those goals in. So the key to productivity is to get really clear on what your goals are, what are your priorities, and to allow yourself the time to have guilt-free relaxation instead of feeling like you have to work for the sake of working. Relaxing, having fun, or just giving your body and mind a break when you're actually tired is not necessarily procrastination unless you're doing it as a way of avoiding some work that you have to do because there's some underlying resistance that you haven't addressed. The way to address this is by reframing relaxing and having fun not as escapes from work, but as the default. The thing that you get to do no matter what. And work is just the things that you have to allocate specific chunks of time to get done to continue achieving your goals and living that life that you love. The second cause of procrastination is that you're not clear on your reasons for doing something and therefore you lack the motivation. Prioritize what actually matters to you, your goals and anything else that's personally important to you. And this way you're gonna have a very good understanding of what is actually productive work versus those times when you just feel like you should be doing something. And for some specific tips on how to stay focused so that you're not just doing busy work and actually being productive, check out this video. Now, something being important doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like doing all of the tasks that go into it. So understand your internal motivations and the reasons why doing something is important to you. But if the actual work seems dull and boring to you, then use these tactics to actually get yourself motivated to take action. Break down all your goals and projects into as small chunks as possible, down to, individual tasks if you can. Now, some projects are gonna have very clearly defined milestones, whereas for some, you will have to make up those milestones yourself. For example, if you're trying to read a book and you're finding this book a little dull, then you can set your task not as, read this book, but maybe as read one chapter of the book. And if even that seems like a very tall order for you, then you can set it as read for 20 minutes or maybe even 15 minutes. Whatever works for you to get you motivated to just keep chipping away at it little by little. If the task that you're working on doesn't have any intrinsic reward or immediate gratification, then build that reward system for yourself so that you have incentive to keep going at this goal. And along with motivation is also accountability. So if you work better with external accountability, then get yourself an accountability partner, someone who's going to periodically check in with you to make sure that you're both working towards your respective goals, or set up some system for yourself that will hold you to what you say you are going to do. The third thing is one of the biggest. If you tend to just distract yourself with TV and social media and things of that nature, you're likely not just lazy, but probably more overwhelmed by the things that you have to do. So first of all, I want you to stop beating yourself up about procrastinating, because guess what? You're just perpetuating this cycle of, adding more stress on yourself, which will cause you to just keep procrastinating because now you feel bad for not having done the thing in the first place, on top of being overwhelmed about having to do the thing because of how big it is for you. So break the cycle by forgiving yourself. Give yourself a bit of a pep talk like, okay, so you haven't been doing this thing, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're lazy. It's just that you're stressed about something, so let's address the problem. And recognizing that I am procrastinating is the first step to get moving. And just be easy on yourself. A huge cause for this fear and resistance is actually perfectionism. You want to get this thing just right, so you put so much pressure on yourself already before even starting that you're too overwhelmed to even get started on working on it. And I feel like I've had this same conversation with all of my clients recently, but the key here is to simplify what you have to do. So think about what is essential, what's actually going to move you forward towards getting this thing completed and achieving your goal, instead of being overwhelmed by all the extra pieces that you've added onto it and this idea that you have in your head about how it should be. Just focus on getting the thing done. Like, what do you actually have to do to get the most basic version of what you're doing done, and then you can add things as you go if needed. But really, we spend a lot of time just overcomplicating things and then not taking action at all. So always remember, done is better than perfect. Reason number 4 is resistance to starting due to the sheer volume of work that you have to do. Let me know in the comments if this scenario sounds familiar. You have been procrastinating on several things for some time, and with each passing day, it becomes even more overwhelming to get started on any of it, because all you can think about is that when you finally start working, you have all these things to catch up on. So take a step back. You don't have to catch up on everything all at once. Don't attach so much meaning to just getting started. If you have work piled up, pick your top 3 priorities. And again, how you're going to pick those is by referring back to your goals and the things that you actually want to accomplish, and pick those tasks that are actually going to move you forward, that have a direct impact on your actual results. And again, we broke down the projects into individual tasks. So pick those 3 individual tasks as your priorities to just get started. And how do you get started if you're still facing a lot of resistance? Set a timer for 10 minutes. And remember, you're not trying to complete a whole big project. You're just trying to do 10 minutes of work. That's it. Simple as that. If at the end of the 10 minutes you've hit your stride, you're in flow, and you want to keep going, great, keep going. If not, if you're still feeling some kind of resistance, maybe we need to go back to the beginning. Maybe you need to chunk your tasks smaller. Maybe you need to drill down more. Or maybe you just need to work through what your actual fears are and what's causing that resistance. But at least you got 10 minutes of work done, which is more than you had before. And the 5th big reason is, of course, distractions. Tip number 1 for dealing with your distractions: turn off your notifications. If you still have all your notifications on for your social media apps and your games and everything else, no wonder you're procrastinating, because those things are going ding, ding, ding all day long. So turn off your notifications and use something like the Pomodoro technique, which is where you focus for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. And you do a few cycles of that before you take a longer break. And you can even do shorter cycles. I prefer to do 15-minute cycles of work, followed by 5-minute breaks. And after 6 cycles, I take a longer break. So whatever works for you, consider doing some focused work followed by breaks, so that you take those intentional breaks and you're not just feeling like you have to keep working once you start. And it's always easier to focus for shorter periods of time. So try out the Pomodoro technique as a way to keep yourself from getting distracted while you're actually trying to focus and get work done, because you have those distraction time, those break times built in. And another tip that I have for avoiding distractions is to end each day by setting yourself up for success for the next day. This is actually something that came up in a coaching call with one of my one-on-one clients recently. She was telling me how every evening she sits down at her laptop with the intention of getting some work done on her project, but she finds herself 2 hours down a YouTube rabbit hole very often. And this happens to so many of us. When we first sit down at our computers, what do we tend to do? Most of us will open up our internet browsers, and then suddenly we're on Facebook or YouTube or whatever your favorite corner of the internet is. And it's almost like a reflex. We don't even think about it. So here's what I suggest to break that habit. Before you end for the night, pull up the actual work that you want to start on the next day and keep that open on your screen, so that when you sit down to work the following day, that is the first thing you see, and you're immediately reminded of what you actually have to do instead of being tempted to browse first. Even if the thing that you have to do is not on the computer, the same concept still applies. Just make sure that whatever you have to work on is easily accessible and kind of even in your face, and immediately grabs your attention and reminds you that that's actually what you're supposed to be working on, so that you're not going towards any of the other distractions in your life. So your work is just laid out and is just waiting there for you to get started. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with a friend who can also use these tips. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos where I share more productivity tools, techniques, and mindset hacks, so that you can have more time in your schedule to create the life that you love. Check out my other videos right here for more tips on time management, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye guys.